the Comfortable in Chaos Podcast. Strangle your demons and let's go.
Y'all need Jesus!
Welcome to the Comfortable in Chaos Podcast. I am your host, Eric Hellberg, and you know we're like Einstein over here, men. We have no special talents. We're just passionately curious about all things pertaining to men. How in the hell did we get here, and where is it that we want to go? And I will tell you that being passionately curious is a great thing. And I recently had a conversation with my buddy Keith Kramer, longtime DJ in a variety of different markets around the country. He has a podcast as well called Sunday Stripped, where they take all the badass artists from the days of old right up to present. They unplug them, they let them do their thing, and they talk about their lives. He's like, Eric, you know too much about a lot of different crap, and I just like it when you just talk to me, man. And so you know what, guys? I'm just going to talk to you today. One, because this is really going to be the end of what I would call feelings and introspection. Because as men, we can only tolerate so much of it. That is not our nature as given to us by the good Lord above. And I'm not talking about these kind of effeminate men or these empaths, whatever the hell you want to call them. There are guys like that. But men, we can be empathetic with our wives. We can understand pain and feelings in our kids. And I can tell you we can actually do that much better if we have been aware as a parent, because there is never any chance of that vulnerability being turned back on us and or becoming a line of questioning. And if you're too damn sentimental or emotional, even with your own spouse, and this is who you cleave to and become one together, it just becomes fodder for who, what, when, where, and why. And as a man, that is not your job to answer. So, leak some of it out. Just don't be a damn flood of emotions. Save that for your boys. It's counterintuitive. We've been told by popular and current culture that it should be just the opposite. But no, that leaves us all alone and vulnerable, whereby women will run amok around and over us. You give them what you need in order to affect that feeling. But believe it or not, you find someone just like yourself who has hugged the cactus. Someone who has been in the pit. Share these things, because that's the whole concept behind iron sharpens iron, and you will be pleasantly surprised. You may not only develop a contact, but perhaps a friend for life, and not one based on the superficial or the size of your nuts or what you've done or not done, but what you have been through. And life is about getting through. And let me just tell you this. No matter where you find yourselves today, I'm proud of you. You're here. You've made it. This isn't where you're choosing to stay, undoubtedly. But you have made it here. You still have a device in your hand and or a computer on your desk. You have the ability to take some time and still think. And you have probably made it through some shit. You have probably endured. So in that regard, I am proud of you. And guess what? Even if you have felt otherwise about your own self, as you start sharing this, others will be of the same sentiment for you. And you can go ahead and pass this along. So, what is the pit? And before we drop down in that, mother, let's just say after this episode, we are going to get back into more kind of like you've been watching romance movies with your wife. You do it for her, but you can only tolerate so much. Now we need some action adventures, right? So we're going to step it up after this, and in the week upcoming, probably get into some war stories, some repo dangers, some topics of the day. There's always politics looming. All the stuff that people find conspiratorial, but we know that there is no conspiracy where there is no merit. So we're really just going to be talking untold truths. And we will go ahead and branch out, and we're going to have some fun with it. But for right now, let's just say you are at a crossroads. You have found yourself in the pit. And really, it is your own circumstance. But when you have come to the end of yourself, whatever that may be for you, congratulations. While you were cruising, you never would have got there. And hey, I'm guilty as you know what I'm saying. I've enjoyed, at least for my life, enormous worldly success. All those good accolades. Boy, we could look perfect. And I can tell you this, that's when you get yourself into trouble, because that is something you learn to value, especially if you're acting it out. And nothing feels worse for a man than to know that he is pretending. Remember a couple episodes back, I said, save a song for the pretender, the great Jackson Browne song. So a man does not get a chance to go higher, to level up and begin anew until he comes to the end of himself. And honestly, for all my believers on here, and if you're not, that's fine too. I think you'll get there. If we can encourage you to do it, that's fantastic. But that's where the Lord can begin, and that's where you can begin if you're not quite there in the spiritual realm. I mean, you can be like what Aristotle said. Should you choose not to offend anyone and or bother anyone in life, you can say nothing, you can do nothing, and then you will be nothing. And that's all fine and good, but that's not a man's true nature. And if you belie that true nature, whereby you end up nothing because you have not said anything, done anything, you will take that heavy burden onto yourself, and you will feel as if you are nothing, and you will find yourself in that pit. Another way to get in that pit is simply by chasing all those things that you thought had value, painstakingly so, until you're threadbare and you have nothing left. That will leave you in the pit. And or all those things that you made your gods, your idol, that you thought had value, but they really did not. And you were afraid to let them go. That will put you in the pit. And if you have been there and you are there, congratulations. It sucks because in the pit, it is restrictive. You don't know where to go. You don't know where to turn. You don't know where to move. Things are closing in on you. Thank God you'll find your confidence there. The pit is also dark. You can't see. You have to become something new and to rely on something bigger. You can find the Lord in the pit, meaning you will find your true nature, your authentic self. So when you emerge from that pit, the depths of that chasm, you are more empowered. You now know what your non-negotiables are. You also know what you are looking for, what you will not tolerate, what it is that you truly would like to pursue. And for my listeners who are saying, well, damn, Eric, I've never encountered that dark place. I haven't had a chance of falling down in that hole. Well, give it some time, my brother. Give it some time. But you want to know how you avoid it? You approach a man who has been there in humility. And because of that experience, he will provide you guidance in humility because he has been there. And that will give you the map to go forward to lessen the potential for pain and mistakes. It reminds me of an excerpt that I saw from an awards show where Robert Downey Jr. was being awarded. I believe it was for something as the Iron Man character, Tony Stark. But previous to that, he had an out-of-control substance abuse problem, myriad of substances, the women, the whole 9 yards, the whole Hollywood cocktail. And you don't have to be in Hollywood to be entrenched in that cocktail. But you know it must have been bad because he couldn't get cast. And to no longer be able to be cast in Hollywood, well, you either have to get a little right wing on your politics per se, meaning conservative, and or start talking about God. Because you can almost be as a degenerate as you want and they'll still keep using you. But all that being said, he was outcast. Mel Gibson, also a Hollywood pariah, took him in. Only an autonomous pariah because he made more money by producing his own film than all those jokers could do in studio in The Passion of the Christ. Well, he housed Robert Downey Jr., he fed Robert Downey Jr., he helped him make ends meet because he couldn't even pay his bills. And all he asked him to do was take responsibility for your actions. Hug the cactus during the process, which is very painful. Imagine putting your arms and legs around a cactus and wrapping it up tight. And once you become contrite and you have accepted your role, doesn't mean that others couldn't have been involved, but you accept your part and what your part is going to be going forward. And at that time, you can relinquish that painful hold on the cactus that is holding you back. Forgive yourself. Give yourself a break because you are here right now, man, and we're talking about a new direction. And all that is asked of you is that you provide the same grace and humility to the next guy. So until next time on the Comfortable in Chaos podcast, I bid you bon voyage, my burgeoning flock.
Until next time, like and subscribe to the Comfortable in Chaos podcast.